owners, if you started your business so you had more free time and you're saying right now, but oh my God, I'm busy all the time. It's like, I don't know how to juggle everything. I'm wearing all these freaking hats. What do I do? I mean, you have to be more productive. But today on Make It Click, I am so happy to have as my guest Julie Jones. Julie is an adventure and breakthrough coach. Doesn't that sound exciting? Oh my goodness. It's like, but she's all about, if you know Julie, get shit done, being productive and making life happen. Okay. So she's not into, oh, let's be busy all the time. No, she's like, get it done. Julie, welcome to Make It Click. I'm so happy to have you here today. I want to just productivity. Do you get pushback when you're working with clients when you mention that term and I hear people saying, like, but I am productive. And I'm thinking, yeah, productive in a good way or productive in a bad way. So if you could like touch on that area.
Well, sure, because you know what, like productivity has a lot of different definitions and a lot of different meanings to people, right? And so the idea of just being busy to be busy is not being productive.
Mm,
And how you can really define the two is that because I look at it as this. I just did a presentation not too long ago for a group of people, and I was explaining about sometimes saying yes to life opportunities. And so many of us go to the default when people ask us, "Hey, how are you doing?" "I'm busy." Like, listen,
yeah.
we're all busy. Like, raise your hand if you're not busy. Busy has become our default. But when you really take a look at what are you so busy with? Because like if you're making money, then you're being productive, right? Because it's about producing results, but it's not always about the money. It's like, how are you experiencing life? Because if people are coming to you with amazing opportunities, could you walk away? Like somebody came to me today and said, "Oh my gosh, I have an awesome opportunity for us to go out on the lake on the boat." I'm like, "I'm in." Like if you can say yes to those life opportunities, then you are being productive with your time. If you're saying no all the time, then you're just being busy and you're really
Oh,
not setting priorities.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, I want to be one of those people, Julie. I want to be able to say yes to those opportunities. So let's dive in with your tips on how to be more productive and get that free time, to really truly live your life. What are some of the main areas that you work with on with your clients?
Well, one of the biggest ones, and I just kind of touched upon it a little bit, is the art of saying no to the have tos in life and really saying yes to life opportunities and the get tos. Like there's a differentiating factor. You can even feel it in alignment when you say, I have to do something versus I get to do something, right? So why do I talk about the art of saying no? Because no is a complete sentence. However, you really have to sometimes take a look at what you're saying no to, right? If you think about it, before the age of 3, what's the one word that we hear all the time? No,
Yeah,
no, no,
no.
no, no. No,
Hmm.
right? Like, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't touch the hot stove, whatever it is. So, is it any reason why, when in our subconscious somebody asks us something, sometimes the first thing that we say is no? However, I really also want people to consider when you're saying no to something that could be yes to a life opportunity, but don't say no to the feeling of obligation. Like, no is a complete sentence, right? And a lot of times, like, sometimes I get approached and asked all the time about volunteering or for being on boards or for leadership opportunities. And you really have to take a look like, is that the best use of my time? Because every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to another priority in your life and really always evaluating what's a priority in that moment. For instance, like this week, I'm leaving on Thursday to fly to Dallas to produce a television show, which I'm super excited about, right? Well, I've had everything under the sun come at me at this week. And so if it's not a priority for me to be focused in on my television show, then I have to say no right now.
Mm.
No, no usually means not right now, but like you might catch me at a different time. And a lot of times when you're not sure about where something is going, ask for 24 hours. People will
Mm.
respect that and then really take the time to consider, is that opportunity and saying yes going to benefit you, or is it going to detract you from where you're going and what your major goals are in life?
Yeah, yeah. No, I've learned. I was I was always a yes person. Something needed doing, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And I've done a lot in my life of things that nobody else wanted to do. But I've learned when asked to do something now, I will ask, well, how much time do you anticipate? I need a clear picture, and then I kind of do my own evaluation of what I believe is true. Because how many times people say, "Oh, it's 1 hour a week. That's all we need from you." Yeah, and then you're like 10 hours a week helping them out. So I like to know the details of everything that I'm being asked to do, and to figure out, like you say, do I have the time right now to do it or not? So yeah, I've learned my lesson.
Well, we all have, right? And I think sometimes for all of us, our intuition and our gut tells us. And like I have been in that spot. Like I'm not perfect with this, right? But I've been in that spot where I'm like ready to say no. And then all of a sudden, like yes comes out of my mouth. I'm like, oh my gosh, where did that yes just come from? And it can be a default, especially for those of us who are entrepreneurs. We like to help, we like to give back, we like to support, right? That's a
Mhm.
role a lot of us want to be seen in. And so a lot of times our default can be yes a little too quickly. And it's just taking the time to really evaluate, like you talked about, Christine,
Mhm.
and knowing and getting the details, because so many times we say yes, thinking, okay, it's only going to be this amount of time, and it ends up being this amount of time.
Mhm. Yep.
And then you realize now you're a reluctant yes. And people
Mhm.
pick up on that energy. They know that you really don't want to be part of this project anymore because they're like, what's going on with Julie? Like, she doesn't seem like she wants to be here. And my mind's off in a million other places of where I could be. Right.
Yeah, yeah. No, one time I actually was wearing several different hats in an organization, and I got to the point at one of our meetings, and I asked the president, "Can somebody else do X?" Yeah, I wanted to give this tiny little thing up, and she's like, "Well, is everything okay?" Why? I mean, she was like, "Thought something was wrong," and I was just like, "I just want to give something up. Can I just give one of these things up?" It's like, there's other people that can do this. Yeah, but I was like shocked that she was like questioning, like she thought something had happened, something was wrong. I was like, no, I just want to stop doing so much for the organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But now, talking about time, okay, being aware of what time you do have. What are your beliefs on time blocking?
Well, I love time blocking because of the fact that at any given time, you can look in somebody's calendar and find out what their priorities are. And a lot of times people think that there's too much time blocking. Like, I'm not going to time block the fact that I have to shower or that I'm going out on a date or whatever it is. But if you don't put it in your calendar, chances are it's not going to get done. Right. And I know we all shower all the time. Like, I'm not talking about that. It's just very easy to sometimes look at when you have a huge block of time because you haven't put in the details of what you want to accomplish. And that's where we lose time. So let me give you an example. I often break things down in smaller segments. A lot of people like to do 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hour chunk of time to work on a different, on like say a big project, right? Like you have this big goal coming up and you want to get all this stuff done. What usually happens though is, don't you find, Christine, that a lot of times that's when all the interruptions happen? Like
Yep.
everybody has a crisis or an emergency at that point when you've got this 4 hour time blocked.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
like to do smaller increments, like 15 minutes. And people think I'm sure you're out there thinking, like, what the heck can get done in 15 minutes, right? But I'll tell you what can get done if you stay focused. So eliminate all distractions. Like this right here is our biggest distraction. Every time like you are in the middle of doing something and a text goes off or your computer chimes at you that you got an email, when you get distracted so easily like that, it takes the brain 5 to 10 minutes to refocus back in on what you were doing. We are not designed as human beings to multitask. No matter how many of you out there think that you're an excellent
Oh,
multitasker,
oh, darn.
I know something is like the ball is being dropped somewhere along the line, right? Because like I even find myself for myself like doing like say I'm doing emails, right? And I'm listening to a podcast. All of a sudden in the email, what I'm hearing on the podcast is going on the email. Okay, note to self, don't attempt to do two things at once. Stay
Mhm,
focused in the moment. But when you only have 15 minutes to stay focused in, I set a timer. I eliminate all distractions because it's amazing to me how the subconscious goes to a place that like you want to all of a sudden are thirsty, like we need something to drink, right? Or I need to eat or anything else can like or the refrigerator is the dirtiest refrigerator I've ever had and I have to do it right now because the subconscious knows you're about to do something big. So you
mhm,
sit down 15 minutes, just focus in every single day. You will find that in 7 days, and if you're consistent about this, you've got an hour and 45 minutes of actual productivity done versus setting up 3 to 4 hours each and every day, not getting it done. And it chips away at your self esteem and your self worth. And then every day you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done again. And I'm talking about what lights you up. What is it that you're really working on to accomplish in your business or in your life for those 15 minutes? Don't make it tasky items. Don't make it like email returns or whatever it is that is again a have to. Like what do you get to do for those 15 minutes that's going to further you and your business? And then when the timer goes off, this is the most important part, Christine, because you celebrate. Woo! You celebrate that
oh,
you took action. You don't quantify or qualify what got done. You celebrate that you showed up for yourself, you took action, and you're building your self esteem. And you will be so surprised in those focused time that you have how much you really can get done. And after the first 15 or 20 minutes, if you decide that you have an additional 15 or 20 minutes, then go ahead and set yourself up with another timed activity. Otherwise, go on with the rest of your day.
mm. Well, what do you say though when somebody is tempted to answer a phone call? Oh my god, it's a prospect. I've been trying to get a hold of that person, but I might lose a sale if I don't answer that phone. It's like, what do you what's your response to that?
Again, it's like there is nobody's crisis is your emergency. And I really think that that's the key. And I get that. But like, see, you won't even know about that call if you don't even have your phone anywhere near you, right? Because like my timer that I use is an actual kitchen timer, right? Like I don't use my phone as a timer or I just have my phone, like it's right now, it's on do not disturb, it's on, focus.
Mhm.
And like a lot of times you can even turn it over so you don't see those things, right? And like when it comes to phone calls like that, okay, that $1 million deal, like that you think that you're going to miss out on, trust me, you're really not.
Mhm.
Like it's all about like setting up so that you don't have like the phone tag or the text messaging or whatever it is. Get clear with your communication. Find out when you're setting up that appointment to have that conversation with that person, and then don't set up your 15 minutes or your 20 minutes or whatever you're setting up during that time frame.
Right.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody has an excuse, right, Christine? It's like you can make excuses or you can make money. You're not able to do both.
Right. Right. So, well, when it comes to figuring out what it is that we have to do. I like lists. I don't really do a major to do list. I do section things off into different projects and whatnot. What are your recommendations for a to do list?
Well, I'm not always a big fan of to-do lists, and here's why I say that, right? And I know, like, this once again is probably throwing people for a loop because I know, like, I always get like that facial expression, like, "What are you talking about, Willis?" Right? It's like, people like go to that point. So here's what a to-do list is, because sometimes it can be a disorganized directory. Everything that comes to mind goes on your to-do list. And it's not about setting up priorities. So I like a success list where I'm going to put the top 2 or 3 things on my success list, and I keep it very short, like on a sticky note, right? So that I can throw it away when I'm done, because when you make this huge to-do list, and as human beings, we have a tendency to look at what didn't get done versus celebrating what did get done. Day after day after day, that to do list carries over. And if it's carrying over, you really want to take a look then, is that a priority? Because if it's carrying over from day to day to day, it's not something that's really essential for you or for your business right now. Now, I know, like on to do lists, sometimes we put down, like, we have to pick up the dry cleaning, get dog food, whatever else it is, so that we don't forget about it. So have a section in your calendar where it's errands, and then list those things that you know you don't want to forget about when you're running an hour and a half of errands. Because I know for a lot of people, sometimes they need the brain dump so it just gets off their brain. But I like what you do, that maybe you have it in categories. But
Mhm.
again, most people for a to-do list, they just list everything out, and then they, or what people like to do too, this is like, I know what people do. Oh, I just got that done. They add it into their to-do list, and then they check it off or they cross
Yeah.
it off, right? So it's
It's
like,
like, oh, I forgot to put that on the
oh,
list this morning, but I just did it. Ooh, look at that.
which goes to that initial point that we made about, are you busy or are you productive? Because was that like really being productive, or was it just like, oh, I got to check something off my list? Now you feel accomplished. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many other things that you can feel accomplished about, right? Other than going to pick up your dry cleaning.
No, well, now, hold on here though. You say about carrying something over from day to day to day, but what if, say, you underestimate the time something's going to take to do? How, how do we really understand when we're making our list, or deciding what it is we're going to be doing? How do we know how much time it's going to
Well, and
take?
that could be one of those things where that's like the 15 or 20-minute increment. Like, maybe that's your big, like something big, a big project that you're working on. I'm talking about more or less like when you carry things over day after day after day, and you're not looking at it, you're not touching it, you're not
Oh,
even thinking about it, right?
okay.
So for instance, I don't know, you're going to write a blog, okay, or you're going to start a blog, and you have that on your list for Monday, and then the following Monday it's still on, and the following Monday it's still on. Like, that blog doesn't really have priority for you at that moment. So take
Hmm.
it off until, like, maybe it's part of your success list, that's like a new thing that you're going to be working on. Because if it really speaks to you, or it really lights a fire under you, then you will be working on it. See, that then becomes one of those have tos,
Hmm.
instead of, woohoo, I get to, like, work on my blog today, right? Like, we
Yeah.
want to eliminate those feelings of have tos. And one of the best ways, that sometimes if it's not in your wheelhouse, then hire out.
Mm.
Stop doing things that take you more time. Like, sometimes technology for me can be a struggle, right? Like, I all of a sudden, like, I do something and I'm spending all this time attempting to figure it out myself, when I can pay somebody and have it done in 15 or 20 minutes. See, you always got to look at, like, how much do I make per hour, or how much can I make on a project, and look at what it's costing you to be spending that kind of time on something else that you
Hmm.
could be hiring somebody for.
Right, right. Yes. So, yeah, I encounter that quite often with people, and a lot of times the response was, "But I have to figure it out first. I need to understand how to do this before I have somebody else do it for me." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, let somebody else do it for you, and then they can come back and show you the steps and answer any questions you might have, but spending the time figuring things out, oh my gosh, all the wasted time that people are doing that.
Well, and
Unbelievable.
that usually comes down to, like, either a control issue or a
Mm,
perfectionism issue, right? Because,
yeah.
like, I live by a saying, "Done is better than perfect," right?
Mm,
Because sometimes you just need to get the information out there, and you can always revamp, but, like, what we're looking for and how I know it's a reflection of us, right? But a lot of times we put too much time and too much effort and all this kind of thing, and then people really aren't paying attention to the itty bitty detail. They just want the information, and again, like, for me, it's about meeting with me in person, right? Because, like, yeah, my website is a reflection of me, but it's
mhm.
like that's why, it's like, meet with me to get a feel of who I am and what I can do for you. That's a much quicker outcome than doing all this research on the website and still not having an answer to your question.
Right, right. And speaking of meeting with you, how can people get in touch with you, Julie, if they would like to know more on how you can help them?
Well, it's very easy. I have a website, juliejones.biz, B-I-Z. I'd like to say that I'm the one and only Julie Jones. However, I know that there could be a couple out there, and I'm on all social media channels. But the easiest way, go to my website, and right on the front page, it'll say book a call, and book 30 minutes with me, complimentary 30 minutes, no obligation, and bring me your problem, your time problem, whatever problem you got, and let's see. I will show you what we can get done in 30 minutes.
Yes, Julie is great at coming up with ideas. Now, Julie, I do have one last question for you. And I know I didn't bring this up before we started, but here on Make It Click, we're all about what's that one little thing that's made a difference in your business. Is it something you learned over the years? Is maybe it's technology you said you're not really good at, but maybe there is a tool that when you discovered it, it was like, oh my God, this is like, when butter discovered the bread, and oh my goodness, what comes to mind of something as you were growing your business that really made it all click for you?
Two things. It's, really believing in myself. And I know it's not a technology thing, and I know that it's not
Yeah.
about me, make it click, but it was really truly the belief in what I have to offer and putting myself out there day in and day out. And as a coach, the second thing is that I have a coach as well, to hold me accountable and to support me in everything that I'm doing. Because honestly, sometimes she believed in me more at that moment than I would believe in myself. And I just
Mhm.
keep putting myself out there, right? Because for all of us, it's the doubts and the fears that hold us back and stop us from what we really want to be doing. And, like, I will take you by the hand. I'll give you a kick in the buttinski, right? And we'll get shit done together because I want to link arms with people, and I will have the belief in you that's strong enough until you have the belief in yourself.
Well, thank you for that, Julie. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the opportunity, Christine. This was so much fun. I just
Yes.
loved being on the show.